The air was thick with the scent of cheap cigars and even cheaper gasoline. Picture this: a dusty Texas road, a sputtering Ford V8, and two figures inside, their silhouettes sharp against the setting sun. This wasn't just any joyride. It was the beginning of a legend. Their first bank job wasn't a Hollywood blockbuster scene. It was clumsy, nerve-wracking, and almost went sideways. They burst in, Clyde fumbling with his Browning automatic rifle, Bonnie's heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. The teller was a kid, no older than Bonnie herself, his face a mask of pure terror. They got away with less than $100, but it wasn't about the money. Not really. It was about the surge, the raw, intoxicating power of taking what they wanted. Driving away, the adrenaline started to fade, replaced by something heavier. Bonnie stared out at the blur of mesquite trees, the stolen cash feeling cold and foreign in her lap. Was this who she was now? A common thief? A small voice, the one that still remembered Sunday school and dreams of being a movie star, screamed in protest. But then she glanced at Clyde. He was grinning, one hand on the wheel, the other tapping a rhythm on the dashboard. The thrill danced in his eyes, and it was contagious. In his world, there were no rules, no limits, just the open road and the next score. And in that moment, Bonnie knew. The fear was real, the guilt was sharp, but the exhilaration was addictive. She was hooked. Word of their audacity spread like wildfire. Soon, they weren't just two kids on a crime spree. They were a phenomenon. Clyde's older brother, Buck, fresh out of prison, joined them along with his wife, Blanche. They were an odd bunch. Buck, loud and eager to prove himself. Blanche, a preacher's daughter who prayed for their souls while counting stolen bills. Then there was W.D. Jones, a 16-year-old kid who saw Clyde as a hero. Together, they became the Barrow Gang. Their hideouts were a chaotic mess of gun oil, empty soda bottles, and wrinkled newspapers heralding their own exploits. They'd argue, they'd laugh, they'd plan their next move over greasy diner food. They were a fractured, dysfunctional family, bound by loyalty and the shared danger of their lifestyle. But for every daring robbery, the law closed in a little tighter. Police departments across several states started coordinating. The name Frank Hammer, a legendary Texas Ranger pulled from retirement, began to circulate. Hammer was different. He wasn't a local sheriff easily outsmarted. He was methodical, relentless, a hunter tracking his prey. The Barrow Gang, once ghosts on the back roads, now had a shadow they couldn't shake. The carefree days of outrunning small-town cops were over. Now, every stop for gas, every rented tourist cabin was a risk. The sense of freedom began to fray, replaced by a constant, gnawing paranoia. They started sleeping in shifts, guns always within reach. The open road, once a symbol of escape, was starting to feel like a cage. One quiet evening, holed up in a stuffy motel room in Joplin, Missouri, the weight of it all pressed down on Bonnie. The glamour was gone, replaced by the stench of fear and the constant drone of the radio, spitting out news of their own manhunt. She found a stray notebook and a pencil stub. The words just started to pour out of her, a torrent of frustration, romance, and fatalism. She wrote about the thrill, the chase, and the inevitable end she saw coming. "You've read the story of Jesse James," she scribbled, "of how he lived and died. If you're still in need of something to read, here's the story of Bonnie and Clyde." It wasn't just a poem. It was her testimony, her attempt to control the narrative, to tell the world who they were in her own words before someone else did. This poem, the story of Bonnie and Clyde, would become her final, haunting message to a world that was both captivated and terrified by them.